For a whole month, I'll be working and living on this off-the-grid farm on the Big Island of Hawaii. It's only been a few days so far, but it's already been a pretty eye-opening experience. Eye-opening in the sense that it helps me realize just how disconnected modern life is from what it actually takes for us to live and to thrive. In this video, I'll show you around this off-the-grid farm to give you an idea of what I mean. So I'm on the Big Island of Hawaii, on the northeast coast of the island, and I'll be staying here for a month with a friend of mine that has recently finished building a family home on this plot of land, as well as the guest house that I'll be staying in. And all of this place, from what I heard, used to be sugarcane plantation, and now ever since it was purchased by my friend and his family, and I think one other family as well, they vowed to keeping it untouched and focusing on organic gardening and reintroducing native plants. So one of the things that I'm really excited about for this travel experience is being able to help out with that. Do some basic gardening. We've been clearing a field ever since I got here, and we're going to be planting over 100 native trees. Stuff that I am definitely not used to. I'm not used to working with my hands and doing, manual labor on the land. So I'm really looking forward to that and connecting to that part of myself. But it's also a really interesting experience because this farm that I'm staying on is completely off the grid. There's no power lines that come through here. All of the electricity is gathered through solar panels that goes through a bunch of batteries and a power inverter. All of the water is collected from the rain that gets stored in these huge tanks and then pumped into the house. All of the gas is done through propane tanks, and the internet, the Wi-Fi, comes from a satellite dish. So it's all off the grid. It's rural Hawaii. There are a few neighbors in the area, but they're like very far apart. It's this long, windy, uneven dirt road that you have to use to get here, that I was a little bit worried if my rental car would make it. I've also noticed it's very different than the Hawaii that I'm used to. For instance, like traveling in places like Oahu, Maui, or most recently Kauai, which is like super green and lush and there's waterfalls everywhere. The Big Island, from what I've seen so far, it's like black desert landscape from all of the lava rock, but it's still super beautiful. This particular side of the island is a little bit wetter than the south side, so the days are a little bit cooler. The nights are oftentimes I'll wear a jacket and long pants, which is not the case in other places like Honolulu, for instance. And there's a lot more rain. It's been raining a lot in the last few days, and I think it will be continuing to rain for this next month quite a bit. So it's a very different climate and landscape than what I'm used to in Hawaii. But nonetheless, it's really beautiful. Right now, as I'm recording this, I'm looking at this group of cows that are eating the grass. At night, you hear all of these frogs, like thousands of frogs squeaking in the distance. And then as you're driving through the town and up the dirt road to get here, there are wild pigs and different kinds of birds. I want to show you the place that I'll be staying in and how it works, being off the grid and all. So let me take you in there and show you around a bit. Now, like I mentioned before, this place is off the grid, which means the accommodations are pretty minimalistic. The owners used to live here as a temporary residence while their actual home was being planned and built, and now it serves as a guest home for friends and family, as well as a space to hold occasional community events. It's open and minimalistic, with most of the walls being made of canvas and plastic windows that can be rolled up in order to let in the surrounding nature. There are a couple of beds covered with mosquito nets for the occasional mosquitoes, and a tent that used to serve as a kind of separate bedroom. Cooking is done at this little kitchenette with a propane stove, and the refrigerator runs on a gas tank too. This door leads to a pantry to store food, and it's also home to the set of batteries and the power inverter that receives and converts electricity from the solar panels outside. Now, since all the electricity comes from solar and the sun obviously isn't out during the night or on very gloomy days, electricity needs to be used sparingly, particularly at night. There's also a fireplace to keep warm and for the cozy ambiance. And lastly, there's a restroom and a shower room with all of the water being pumped in from 2 large tanks outside and being heated with a gas system. I think this place that I'm staying at really represents a new kind of travel that I've really been embracing recently, which is one that's very slow. It's very connected to nature. That's a very important central theme to the places that I've been going to recently. And it's also based a lot on like a cultural experience or some kind of experience that's very human-centric in a lot of ways. And it's not so much focused on, tourist attractions, different sites, and like making sure that I see everything. This type of travel in this place really represents like slowing down, getting settled, and just living, really. So far, it just feels very grounding to be here. I hope to be able to connect with a different side of myself, one that I think is lost a lot in our society today, which is just being very connected to the land, very connected to only the things that we need and not a lot of the excesses of life. The accommodations and this kind of minimalist, off-the-grid style of living and traveling definitely isn't for everyone, at least not everyone at every time in their lives, because it is at times very inconvenient, and it can be, in many cases, uncomfortable to some extent. I'm kind of okay with it because I'm used to things like camping and living kind of a bare bones, minimalist lifestyle in a lot of ways, but it's definitely not for everyone. I recently had a bit of a health scare. If you recall, like I've made videos on a blood clot that I had in my leg, and very recently I discovered that there's another one. And this time the clot actually made it into my lungs as well, which can be a very dangerous, life-threatening condition. Nonetheless, it is an experience that puts things into perspective, and it definitely kind of forces you to slow down and observe like what's important. Maybe some of the things that we or I have been taking for granted in life. What is really needed to be happy and fulfilled, and what is just like excess and luxury and is not necessary. And so I'm really glad to be here because this place has been so far very healing, kind of therapeutic in a lot of ways. Yeah, it's really just facilitated that slowing down, taking a deep breath, and focusing on what's really important in life. So anyways, I'm looking forward to sharing more about this experience with you, working with my hands, maybe exploring the island a bit, and the things that I learn along the way. So if you haven't already, if you want to keep up with that, then subscribe to my channel. And looking forward to sharing this experience with you.